So your today's lecture is about alchemist. We are going to move towards your last part of your lecture, of your syllabus, and here we are going to discuss first the introduction of Paulo, the very renowned, you can say, writer and lyrist. And in this week we will talk about Paulo and some Moodle verbs, future tenses, and related to that there will be an introduction of the novel with induction, deduction, and prediction. Then we will head towards your novels part 1, and this part 1 we are going to do according to some grammatical and syntactic comprehension questions will be given to you, so you will do this. Then there will be quiz, and after quiz you are going to do the comparison and contrast of how to do comparison and contrast type of writing. So this type of essay writing or paragraph writing you will be uh, assigned with that, your assignment will be there. And then part 2 of this novel will be done, and in part 2 we will do some critical analysis of the novel, and with that you are going to do explanation with reference to the context as we have done in the class. Then grammar tense present will be done, and the second part, along with the second part, you have to I will going to conduct your fourth quiz. And after fourth quiz we will do another type of writing, that is about cause and effect type of writing. And then there will be submission of your e-journal, and with that e-journal you have to go for your final project, and that will be in the form of presentation as well. And that's it. So this is all we have to do into the finals. Let's start with your very first topic, that is about the introduction of Paulo. So I'm pretty sure most of you are aware about Paulo. He is a very renowned, very famous writer and lyricist, and most of the people know him, call him as in the best. He is the one who is the best for reading. So he is also called the most widely read Brazilian author. So he is the one who is basically read most of the time and by most of the people, due to his perfect writings and a lot of good structure into that writing people have found into that writing, and a lot of good things they have viewed so much. If you are going to read this, when you are going to read this Alchemist, you will see that there are so many statements that are very real, and you are going to learn a lot from them. So let's start with Paulo. Who was basically Paulo? Paulo is considered one of the most influential lyrist, and he was also he is also a novelist as well. His books, around 150 books were sold through worldwide, and have been released in 170 countries, these all books, and these been translated into 80 languages. So you can imagine the worth of the books and how much he is popular due to his work. So in 2014 he uploaded his personal paper online as well to create a virtual Paulo Coelho Foundation. So due to that he uploaded this paper. And if we talk about his some facts of his life, so we will go with his biography, his family, and his books. So I have divided his life into these three parts. So we will first talk about his biography. So when we are going to talk about biography, Paulo was born in 1947 in Rio de Janeiro. It's in Brazil. So after when he was born, right after he attended right after after some age, he attended a school into Brazil, was named as Jesuit in Brazilian, or in other language it is also called as Lisuit. And being a teenager, Paulo wanted to become a writer, but his family was not in that favor. His mother especially, she wanted him to be to choose a good profession like his father. Like his father was engineer, he was an engineer. And his mother, most oftenly, she always tried to talk to him, and she respond to him like, my dear, your father is an engineer. So due to this statement, she wanted to make him clear that writing is not a thing that he can join as in a profession. So he really needs to go with some reasonable, like at that moment she was not considering writing a reasonable profession. So due to this, what happened, Coelho became a very introvert kind of person, and he was very in opposition to following a traditional path led to his parents they were committing. So due to all these circumstances, he went to a mental institution, like as he was not considered well. So when he was discouraged, and being a child, you become so much rebellious. You wanted to go against whatever is taught to you if your own wishes are not coming true. So and if there is so much pressure from the family, no, you have to do this, but your inner is not forcing you to do. Your inner is has some other wanting. So that's why his nature was a bit rebellious, and due to all these, in these all circumstances, his family wanted to him to go for the asylum. So 3 times he escaped from that asylum. As Coelho was born into a Catholic family, and his parents were so much strict about religion and faith. So he remarked basically the nature of his parents later on in a way, like it was not that they wanted all this willingly to do with him, and they wanted to hurt him willingly, but it was like that the parents, as all the parents around the world, they always wanted to save their child from the bad, from what not good to them, what not they think that's suitable not to do. So whatever they did, it was not to destroy me, but it was only to save me. So according to his parents wish, he got enrolled into a law school. When he got enrolled into a law school, he abandoned his dream of becoming a writer. So later on, after 1 year, he dropped out from the school, and he was lived a life where he started traveling around the world. So he started his traveling from South America to North Africa, and then Mexico and Europe, and then he, during this time, he started taking drugs. So when all this was happening, and he started to taking drugs, so he composed some of the lyricists. At that moment, some lyrics he composed, he started working on it. And when he was composing these lyrics, he got involved into some sort of magic, and that magic was based, he was influenced from some of the songs content. Due to his these activities, he jailed for 3 times. and all these activities, he was quite active due to his profession as well. You can say he belongs to law, and law and politics are really related to each other. So due to his these activities, he was jailed and tortured by the ruling military government of Brazil, and who had taken power 10 years earlier and viewed his latest as left wing and quite dangerous for the community, because they were thinking that these layers can make other rebellious as well, and they can change the nature of other people as well. So that's why he was tortured into the jail as well. So during that, after that, Coelho worked as an actor, as in journalist, as in theater director, before becoming a true writer, like completely indulging into writing. Before that, he was involved into these works. Later on in 1996, Coelho founded institution which provided support to children and elderly. So after, you can say, and there are some pictures that you can see how he looked like when he was so much young, and this was the life and his activities that he was doing during his youth. If we talk about his family, Carlo was married and has been married, and to his wife, the artist. She was an artist, and she is Christina. Yeah, and he got married in 1980. So they spent it together. They had previously spent a half the year in Rio de Janeiro, and then other half they spent in a country house that was in France, basically. So, uh, but nowadays their residency is in Geneva, Switzerland. They don't have any children, and so next is about his books. If we move toward his very first and the most famous book is the Pilgrimage. So Pilgrimage is a book, you can say, when that has to totally change his life, because he wrote this while he went to the Spain. uh, so in that visit, during in that visit, he like had that traveling around 500 miles through the road. So he went to a Catholic pilgrimage. So there he walked and got some sort of spiritual awakening. So he experienced that, and due to that experience, he got so much inspired, and he tried to write down on the pilgrimage, and that is why it is also considered an autobiographical account of trek that he written in his native Portuguese language. So it is really famous book of, because it is all describing his adventure, his traveling adventure, and his self discoveries towards the guidance of some religious kind of thing. So that is why it is really famous. Then if we are going to head towards his another book, that is part of our course as well. So it is Alchemist. Alchemist is really famous uh, because uh, a lot of work is done into it, and he published this book in 1988, and this was also written originally into the Portuguese language, and it was later on translated into different languages, and it is considered as in the best international seller book. So This um, this book was basically follows a young Andalusian shepherd in his journey. What he made a pyramid of Egypt, and after having the recurring of dream of finding a treasure. So that was basically found into Alchemist. It is basically journey of a shepherd. So during that journey, what he learned, how he reached over there, what type of languages he discovered, all this is into this novel. So this is considered an allegorical novel, and this thus receives his heart's desires through this language, and it became a worldwide phenomena. And as I have told you, it is mostly most translated book around the world, and by a living author means like Paulo is still alive. If you can go to Twitter, you are going to find out his account as well. So after this book, Veronica decides to die. I personally started this, and in the middle of the novel, I just dropped it due to some research of my research. So that's why I has not completed it yet. I will try to complete it. It's a good book. Veronica Decides to Die addresses basically the fundamental questions asked about by the millions. What am I doing here today? Why do I go on living? So, like sometimes if we are stuck around something, and there we always try to question ourselves. So when we question ourselves, we always talk about these type of things. Why I am here, why I'm living on, and what is the purpose of living. So this is basically based on his own life events. As we have discussed, like he was into a mental torture, and he was in a situation where his parents decided to him send to him a mental asylum. So during that, when you have some sort of madness around you, and in that madness you try to question a lot about a lot of things. So that basically provoked Paulo, and he tried to write on this. Veronica Decides to Die. From this the name of the book, you can see that this depicts and this states a mental condition of a person. Then Paulo's lessons there are so many quotes that Paulo has written, but some of the things that lessons on how to discover the soul of a place. So Paulo always tried to avoid museums. He hang outs into the bars. He was very open. He is very open person. Sorry. So he always tried to travel alone if you are married with your spouse. So this is what he recommends. Paulo's best quotes I have mentioned here, and you will see some of them are from Alchemist. You are what you believe yourself to be. So what he believed himself, he is now. Instead of like there were so many forces that were forcing him not to be a writer, not to go for writing, but he was so much focused on writing. So that's why he went to for writing career, and now he is a writer. If you will see this, the next one is, and when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. And this quote was used in uh, in a movie as well. So Paulo's writings are not inspired uh, by a person who are very interested into writing, but also the people who are from outer from this world, from this sorry, from this whole
शाल भी महंगा है माल रो मतलब उधर जगह लेनी है
लगता भाई मैम की लाइट चली गई है। एक्सक्यूज मी मैम, हेलो यार, कोई जिंदा है? पक्की बात है, सारे ऑन करके सोए हैं।
ओ भाई जिंदा ही हैं सब, तुम टेंशन ना लो।
यार मेरी जान, बोलो तो सही फिर।
जान हम तो बोल ही रहे हैं, और सुनाओ क्या हाल चाल है?
ठीक, अल्लाह का शुक्र। चलो कोई तो बोला यार, मैंने बोला पता नहीं
भाभी की
सारे
सुनाओ।
सोए हैं। क्या?
भाभी की सुनाओ।
बस बोर्ड हो रहा है, चुप कर जा।
ओके ओके। मिस कहाँ गई है?
मैम का आई थिंक सो नेट का कोई प्रॉब्लम हो गया, इस वजह से वो लीव हो गया एकदम से, शायद इलेक्ट्रिसिटी का लोड शेडिंग।
बिल्कुल।
ओहो।
चला भाई, कैसे हो आप?
ठीक
अल्लाह
ठाक, अल्लाह
खैर
का
करे।
शुक्र।
आप कैसे हो भाई?
भी ठीक है। मैम चले गए हैं, चले फिर हम भी चलते हैं।
नहीं बैठो यार, बैठो, इंतजार करो यार। मैम इतना अच्छा पढ़ा रही थी, तुम लोग तो सारे सोए हो यार।
किसने कहा
वो
सो
बस
गया?
कर जा भाई, सो
मैं
कोई भी नहीं
सुबह
रहा।
हाँ तो और क्या आवाजें दे दे के बुला रहे हो भाई।
भाई ये बंदा बिजी भी होता है यार थोड़ा सा, क्या हो गया।
ओ अच्छा, सॉरी सर।
एक तो आज पाक स्टडी वाली मैम ने बड़ी ली है यार।
भाई पाक स्टडी का हम लोग एमसीक्यू एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे थे, मैम ने तो क्विज ले लिया सही तरह अच्छी तरीके से।
भाई जो भी हो, ये ऑनलाइन क्विज की नहीं भाई समझ आ रही सारी, कुछ नहीं
जहां
समझ
तक
आ
मुझे
रहा
लग
भाई।
रहा है ना, जहां तक मुझे लग रहा है ऑनलाइन हमारे लिए सही है असाइनमेंट। आसानी है भाई, क्विज भी आसानी है ऑनलाइन।
भाई तुम्हारे लिए आसानी है ना।
तुम्हारे लिए क्यों नहीं है?
भाई हमारे लिए नहीं आसानी, तुम तो रहते भी नहीं हो ना लाहौर, मसला ये है। तुम तो अपने शहर में बैठे हुए हो सुकून से।
बस क्या कर सकते हैं यार, थोड़ी बहुत
हाँ
मेहनत
करता तुम कुछ नहीं यार। फाइनल का बताओ, फाइनल का क्या सीन है? मिड्स तो कैंसिल हो गए हैं।
फाइनल का भी कुछ कंफर्म नहीं है भाई, ये तो बाद में पता चलेगा।
सही हो गया।
यार ये सीआरजीआर किधर है?
ये सीआर जिया नहीं बोलते, दोनों बड़े शर्मीले बच्चे हैं हमारे।
किधर है आकिब? किधर है आकिब? आकिब था ना इधर, नहीं नहीं
जरवान,
सॉरी।
जरवान
अच्छा अच्छा,
जरवान।
आकिब तो मैथ का है हाँ।
हाँ जरवान
यार
भाई खुद बोलते हैं।
जवान सुना, आप चेक तो करो यार, कहाँ गई है मैम, पता करो।
चलो अच्छा चले गई हैं तो।
एक सेकेंड। ओ भाई देखो जरवान साहब क्या कह रहे हैं, तो बस तकफार।
क्या कह रहे हैं?
चैट में देखो यार।
लि-
तो
इंतकाल,
बात,
अस्तगफिरुल्लाह अस्तगफिरुल्लाह अस्तगफिरुल्लाह।
इतनी प्यारी मिस है हमारी और तुम ऐसे इंतकाल करा रहे हो उनका।
माशाल्लाह माशाल्लाह माशाल्लाह, नजर ना लगा दी तलहा हम इसको।
ओ नहीं 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 नहीं, वो देखो उसने क्या लिखा है, कह रहे भाई मैं अपनी बात कर रहा था। अच्छा अच्छा सर, हाँ ठीक है कोई बात नहीं, आई अपोलोजाइज।
फिर ठीक है, फिर ठीक है।
हाँ
मेरा भी
हाँ फिर
साहब
कोई बात नहीं, फिर 100 बार इंतकाल करो आप।
इन्ना लिल्लाहि व इन्ना इलैहि राजिऊन, कोई बात
भाई लीव ना कोई करके जाए, आ जाएंगी मैम, आई थिंक सो आ जाएंगी।
नहीं। दोस्त की फिक्र नहीं है। नहीं नहीं दरबान भाई, आपकी बहुत फिक्र है हमें।
नहीं
अल्लाह
नहीं,
आपको
जरमान
जन्नत में आला
के
मुकाम
अलावा
अता फरमाए।
है कौन वाला? यार जरमान भाई कोई अपडेट है? मैम से बात हुई है? यार वॉइस में बात करो यार, चैट में ना करो यार, तुम कौन सी लड़की हो? जरमान,
हाँ भाई कैसे
जरमान।
हो?
ठीक ठाक अल्लाह का शुक्र।
हेलो हेलो।
सिरवान भाई कैसे हो?
भाई मैम से बात हो गई है, मैम कह रही है मेरा नेट प्रॉब्लम है, वेट करो अभी।
हाँ वही ना, वो एकदम से डिस्कनेक्ट आ गई मैम। आ गई मैम, चुप कर चुप कर चुप कर चुप।
uh, so I was talking about, I'm sorry for this problem of internet. Okay, let's the other quotation that is given, I told you about. It was when you want, and when you want something, all the universe conspires and in helping you to achieve. Obviously, if you are so much willing to do something and you wanted it with the core of your heart, your all energy is towards that thing, and you wanted to put that energy to gain that thing, to achieve that goal. So this was what he talked about. The next is, one is loved because one is loved. No reason is needed for loving. So if you love someone, you don't need to have any reason for it. uh, that's it. Oh my god, I haven't shared it. There is your another topic that I wanted to discuss with you. It is about Moodle verbs. So let's start with the Moodle verbs. Moodle verbs are verbs that we use for some sort of, sometimes for the possibility, sometimes for the permission, sometimes for the request. So all these conditions are applied here. Modal verbs you can see here that are shall, must, could, might, will, ought to, may, would, should, and can. If we talk about modal verbs, that means why, when, and how we need to use them. So that's why we have to consider them one by one. I will discuss in front of you. The main characteristics of modal verbs are basically these are a type of auxiliary verbs, and then we can say that they alter or complete the meaning of the main verb. Like modal verbs are used when we need to complete the meaning of main verbs. Then they express basically the idea of what? Idea of having of some capacity, idea of possibility, idea of obligation, idea of permission, idea of prohibition, idea of probability, supposition, request, desire. So all these ideas are expressed by the use of modal verbs. Then you can say they also indicate the level of formality in the conversation. Sometimes we try to make the conversation very informal. So to avoid that, we use uh, in a very formal kind of situation, we try to use these modal verbs so that the conversation turn into a very formal one. So there we need to use it. They don't take s for the third person singular. That means if you are going to talk about the third person singular he she it name, that means with them, as we talk about into the present tense, we use s and es. So they have said they don't take s into these. Then the main modal verbs that we are going to discuss today are can, could, may, might, must, shall, will, should, ought to, and would. So let's start with the very first one, that is can. Whenever you have to use can, you can keep in mind that can is always going to show some capacity, permission, or request for the present or for the future. It is not related to any past sentence or past statement. So can is normally we all the time, this is the modal verb that we use most often. So if you are going to see the possibility of something, then you are going to talk about the examples of, like if you are going to talk about capacity, you are going to make a statement, she can speak French. So that is a capacity of someone. She can speak French, but she can speak some other maybe she can speak some other language as well. So that's her capacity. If you want a permission, so then you are, he can come in now. So that is a permission that is granted to someone. If you are making a request, permission granted, it's not that permission you are going to take permission, but for permission granted you are going to say like this, he can come in now. Can you lend me your pen please? So that means a request is made by using can. So if you are going to view this example, you will see that it is going to make a conversation very formal. Sometimes if you make a request to someone, so you always say that I wanted to lend you a pen. So this is a way we always request to someone, but a formal way of requesting is this. Similarly, if you are going to move towards could show possibility or ability or capacity or request or suggestion for the past. So if any request, any capacity or any possibility is considered, so you have to make it, or you have to use it into the past. So there we say that you can go for the example, extreme rain could. Sana Gafar, it's fine if your net is slow and it is disconnecting, you can connect it again. Extreme rain could cause the river to flood the city. So there is a possibility that was in the past that that much rain could हो सकती थी. So that is in the past. Like that's why the city could be flooded with that rain. So then the next one is about the ability of someone, like the capacity. So ability and capacity is they are similar. If you have seen the very first one, you can see that she can speak in French. That is the ability of someone as well. Similarly, into this, if you are going to see, John could run very fast when he was younger. So there what it means? There it means that his ability is that when he was young, he could run fast. Then if you are going to see the next for the suggestion, if we are going to make, we could go to an ice cream, and you can convert this the suggestion into the present as well by using we can go to, हम जा सकते हैं. So that is a suggestion that you are putting in the present, and if you are putting that suggestion into the past, you are going to talk about some statement from the past, you can turn it into the could. So we could go to an ice cream parlor or stay home and watch a movie. So there are some suggestions are given to someone. Similarly, the next one is for the request, as we have made into the present as well. Could I use your cell phone for a moment? Then the next one is about may. So as like can, I think we use may as well so much into our daily life. May is a modal verb that expresses possibility and permission, and it breaks. So it can sorry it can use it can be used to give or request permission, but may, the use of may is now less common as compared to can, because we have replaced it with the can most commonly. So here if you are going to view the example of it, then they have given may plus bare infinitive. The train may be is the bare infinitive. So then late, the train may be late. Similarly, may not plus bare infinitive. Don't write anything on the screen. Similarly, you can go for the more examples. Maria may be at school or at home. So that is the for the possibility. May he leave the room with me? This is for the permission asking, and the other one is for the permission giving. Stop it, guys. Don't do it. So these are the usage of may. Then we are going to move towards the might. Might is commonly used to indicate possibility. Similarly, like can was for the past. So this might is, however, it can also be used to make suggestions or requests. This is a rare use though. So might is there. If you are going to talk about might, so then you can make some statements about might like this. Your backpack might be under the desk, so that is a possibility. You might go to the boardroom during your visit, then it is a suggestion. And if you are going to make a request, so might I open the door. So for the past tense, you go for the might. Must is always talk about some certainty, surety. When there is surety, you always try to talk about might. Oh, sorry, must. So that is why we have said that you are almost sure about something. You are you know that this is a fact, this is truth, so there you always use must. For a must, it can be used to talk about some obligation where there is a responsibility of something. We most of the often try to when we recommend for something, sometimes we use must as well in an essay at the very end. If sometimes you are going for the recommendations or for some prohibitions, so the ending of the essay we always do, you must do this, you must take this. So you will see that ending is for the recommendation or for something that we need to avoid to something. So there we always try to use it. If you go for its examples, you will see that she must be sick. She never gets late to school. So there is a possibility is that someone is sure about that someone is sick. Otherwise, the girl, she never tried to be late from the school. So surety is there. But with surety, there is a possibility. Then the next one is students must pass an entrance examination to study at this school. So necessity is compulsion or obligation is there. Obligation is that if you wanted to enroll into that school, you have to clear your entrance exam, like entry test, as we talk about entry test into the. So that is about surety and obligation as well. And then if we are going to for a strong recommendation, so we say that you must drink a lot of water to protect your voice. So you will see that a recommendation is made. Then the obligation is that Sarah, you must always do your homework. So that means obligation is made into that. Then if we are going to talk about shall indicates a future action. And you know that future indefinite, future tenses are basically based on shall. And in future indefinite, we use shall and will. So it indicates a future action. So it is commonly used with the first person singular, like I and we, according to the Britishers grammar rules. So we always use with I and we use shall. And shall is commonly found like if we need to give again suggestions, or we have to make promises, or for the predestination, so we use it. Like for the suggestion, you can see, shall we set the table? So it is some, you are going to suggest to someone that we need to set the table. So then the next one is for the promise, I shall never leave your side. So if you are making a promise to your friend, so you are going to make this kind of statement, I shall never leave your side. If you are predestination is occupied by you, so you are going to talk about what, she shall become our next queen. Then we are going to talk about will. It is more commonly used to talk about for the future situations, as we have done with the shall. So it can also be used to talk about the present when we want to make a request. it is also used in some situations where we use instant decisions, right at the moment if you need to make any decision, so you always try to go for the will. Here are some examples of will, like for example, for the future action, I will call you later. So if you wanted to call someone later in future, so then you are going to make this kind of statement. If you are requesting for the future, so will you close the window please? Then if you instant decision are making, I love the t-shirt, I will take it. You will see, if you are going for a shopping and you are you have some something good stuff or some good thing, so you always decide like, I'm loving this, so I will take it or I will buy it. So that is a random decision that you have made. So if for random decisions we use will. Then should is a modal verb that most commonly used for the advices and recommendations like must. You see that as we have talked about the must, similarly we are going to talk about the should. um, while ending that any piece of essay writing, we always go for the recommendations sometimes, and for some obligations also there, so we use should or must. So this is the use of the should. There are some examples that are given. When you have many classes, you should take a bottle of water for you. So that is a recommendation for the piece of advice. The next example is, you should focus more on your assignments. Similarly, if you are going for some obligation kind of situation, so there is, I should be at work before 7 p.m. So you will see that an obligatory mark is there. You have to be, this is your responsibility. So you have to do it. Then expecting, okay, yes. We don't talk about the use of should with expectations. So here it is given also, at this moment they should already be in New York. So while you are expecting from someone, like this is the time and this time you wanted someone, they should do this. So that is a kind of expectation that you can make with the use of should. Then obligation is there, and oh, this is repeated, I'm sorry for this. Ought to, very few people use it. Ought to, basically ought to is used to make some advices and recommendations as well, but when it expresses sometimes assumptions, you have made some assumption in your mind, sometimes you are expecting from something, in strong probability if it is there, you try to use ought to when the context implies something is deserved. So there you use ought to. For a recommendation, the example is, she ought to stop eating red meat. Next is, Sam ought to get a promotion. So that is an expectation, because due to her hard work, due to her skills, she deserves that promotion. So that is why someone is expecting that she need to get a promotion, and that it is used ought to. Then assumption, if assumption is made, then in assumption you will see that those apartments ought to increase in value due to the construction of the new mall. So that is an assumption that someone has made, like shopping mall is in front of that community, and due to that mall effect, now the surrounding area is going to cost highly. Then if obligation is there, so the next sentence is, you ought to know. You ought to know something. That means an obligation is made over there. Okay, will. So from will to word, we have to move towards your use word. It is more commonly used, you can say, in conditional verb tenses. And in conditional verb tenses, we normally make offers, request, and talk about past habits. As Bill is going to talk about present and future, similarly, Wood is going to talk about the past statements. So let's start with the examples. You can see the very first example here. If I were you, I would not do that again. Would you like to would you like some cake? So that is an offer. If you are going to make a request, you will see that would you turn down the volume please. Similarly, if you are going to talk about someone's habit from the past, so you will see that we would swim in the dam for hours when we were kids. So that activity from the past, it is quoted by using would. So with other modals, which can be used to make conditional sentences, could, might, will, and should. So there are some examples that are given into it. You can read it. That's it. This is all about your today's lecture. Now what in assignment, there is an assignment for you guys that you have to do by using all these Moodle verbs. You have to make one sentence for each Moodle verb. Got it, guys?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Good. So this is your assignment. By using each Moodle verb, you have to make one sentence for each according to its conditions. According to its conditions, like if can is having a condition of capacity, permission, and request, so you have to make one sentence for it.
Ma'am, like you said, suggestion, condition, or different kinds of
Exactly.
things. So
Yes,
we need to
perfect.
make one for each.
One for each.
Okay. So, ma'am, could you just forward this slide to us so we
Yes,
can
I will today I will forward it to you. This lecture will be uploaded on your LMS, and I will upload your slides as well.
Okay, ma'am.
If you can't buy that novel Alchemist, then I will send you the PDF copy of it through email, or I will upload it onto the LMS, the link of that, so you can
Sure,
easily
ma'am.
download it.
Okay, man.
And in the next class, I will go for the introduction of the novel. With introduction, there are some terms that I will highlight in front of you, and you have to do it.
Already, and with you teaching time.
Very funny.
मक्खन लगाना
Really.